In every country, good morning. Where I am now, better than before. Through those open doors, where I am now, where I am now, I'm in a special place. A tender embrace, where I am now. It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, where I am now. And if you'd like to see us live in WGPL 1350 studio, all you have to do is go to Edward Everett's Facebook page or Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton's Facebook page. And guess what? You can see us live right here in WGPL 1350 studio. And if you want to hear us all over the world, all you have to do is go to 1400 AM or 1350 AM. And guess what? You can hear us all over the world. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning. Mr. E, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Would you, could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors, our WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace, 95.3 FM and WPCE 1400 AM.
Facebook Live is on and popping. Let's also welcome LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. We'll shout you out later on in the show.
Like, share, subscribe, comment.
Like, share, subscribe, comment. We'll shout you out. We promise.
Shout out, yeah.
Mr. E, what day is it today?
Today is Hump Day. That's what today is.
What a wonderful hump day that was.
That's right.
Woo! Not only is it hump day, it's Wednesday. Our segment, What's Under the Hat? Issues concerning men.
That's what it's all about. The weatherman said the temperature on the outside is 49 degrees and it is raining.
This is where our winter really kicks in, Mr.
That's
E.
right.
It's going to be down in the 30s this week. So you all that are in the Hampton Roads area, make sure you stay warm.
And make sure you get your snow shovel out and your
for
snow
the 0.0 snow. Okay.
And that's what it's all about. 0.0 snow, but the weatherman did say some snow.
I know. Mr. E, keep waiting on it. God bless you, because I'm not looking forward to snow right now.
Yeah.
But Mr. E, we have a fabulous guest. Look, by popular demand by request of the lady, one is wonderful author.
Yeah.
Dr. Hezekiah Brown to be on with us on this morning. Good morning, Dr. Brown.
Good morning, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my goodness. Now look, when we post you on Facebook, we get numbers like over 1,000 views looking at Dr. Hezekiah Brown. I wanted to let you know that. And thank you so much for being on Facebook and all our other platforms. And thank you for being on FYI Radio Show. Tell us a little bit about yourself to those that don't know you, where you're from, and where you hail from now, because you're not in Elizabeth City. But tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about what you do.
Well, professionally, I'm an arbitrator, mediator, and conflict consultant. And I have housing, labor management, and community disputes. I call myself an expert in terms of conflict management. I just want to thank you again for inviting me. This is Black History Month, and in Black History Month, I think that what we have to do is do what others do, and that is teach Black history. For example, I think many of the other races teach Black history in reverse. For example, what they teach is the negative side of Black history. They teach their people that African Americans are less than human beings. They teach them that they're lazy, that you can't trust them, and they keep this and they keep passing this down generation after generation, and it has an adverse effect on us. But once they plant the seed with young Caucasians or others that this is what Black folks are, this is what they believe, and they grow up disliking us because of what they're taught. So I think it's high time, being this Black History Month, that we start teaching the real Black history to our children in the churches, in the community, in schools, and every place else, so they will understand what Black history really is. And they will understand that in Black history, while many whites are afraid to approach this under the critical race theory, is because of that fact that they think that they have done so much to hurt us as African Americans during slavery, and now they've hurt us so much until they don't want anybody else to know it.
Yes.
But I'm saying that there were a lot of white people who were able to help us. For example, the Supreme Court decision, the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision, was rendered by 9 white men, and they voted unanimously that the Plessy Ferguson decision was unconstitutional. 9 white men. There have been a whole number of white people who died in the civil rights movement. There have been a whole number of people who was helpful during the transfer and the transgression of Black people from slavery to so we have to tell them that they're part of this. That all white people are not bad people. There were some who helped us more than and really was able to help us get out of slavery.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Go ahead, Dr. Brown.
No, so I'll tell you a little bit about where I came from. See, I'm from the old school. I've been around for a long period of time. I have seen changes, and I've seen changes and not changes and changes. For example, I was born in the Deep South. I was born in a place called Pritchard, Alabama.
Oh,
and I was born in poverty. It was 11 in my family. I came from what is considered nowadays a broken family. After 11 children, my mother and father separated, and we had to really mend for ourselves, and we did a good job doing that because then we learned what family really is. Family was helping each other. Yeah. I'm a former migrant farm worker. I had to leave Alabama because I hated everything about it, and I just moved along the system and went back to, I was a high school dropout. I went back to school. I got my college degree. I went back to school, and then I have some pretty comfortable jobs that I've had over a period of time. But it hasn't been easy. I've faced discrimination in every area. I've dealt with it, know how to deal with it, and I want to teach others how to deal with discrimination.
I'm really thankful for what you just said, and the fact that we have to teach people who we are. They've learned through information being passed down that was wrong, but it's up to us, and that's why I appreciate Black History Month, because we can tell our children and other races, this is us, this is what we do, this is how we celebrate ourselves, this is how far we've come from, and this is where we're going. And I think it's very important that we do have those lessons for other people. We celebrate Black History Month, but we also take the time to teach others about who we are as a people. I want to talk about conflict resolution. What is conflict resolution?
Well, conflict resolution is something that happens on a day-to-day basis. A conflict resolution is a process where you teach and aid individuals and teach them how to resolve be individuals, it could be groups, it could be countries, it could be all these things. You teach people, you give them skills that they never had before. Because simply, this is one of the problems in our country. One of the problems of the country that we teach everything but conflict resolution. And for some reason, we just don't focus on that. We don't teach conflict resolution, so people don't know how to resolve disputes. So one of the things that I've been successful with is teaching people how to do this. As a matter of fact, I think I mentioned before, resolved over 5,000 community disputes, divorce, labor management disputes, every kind of dispute that involved in it.
Amazing. Go ahead.
You said something early when you was on our previous show one time before, Dr. Brown. You said before you enter into a meeting, you got to leave your feelings outside the door. Was that the word feelings? Would that help in conflict? Would that help a lot of folks when they go to so they can understand what's going on?
I think that would, because that word I use, but if you're going to be a conflict resolver, you have to check your ego at the door.
Your ego, that's it. That's it.
And since we talk about men are the most difficult to check that ego, not only going in the door, but any place else. That's just something that's inherently part of African American men is that ego. But that's what we encourage you to do, is check your ego at the door, and you're going to resolve any kind of dispute that's on the table.
Dr. Brown, how hard is it to resolve conflict? And you as an instructor, because of the way the environment is now, people are resolving conflict with guns and violence.
Yeah.
How do you break this cycle? Because I was looking at some of the numbers here in the Hampton Roads area, and it's been so many, murders and not just murders, but conflicts that have been death has result through these means. Well, how do you go somewhere where there's extreme conflict and try to get people to get together and come to a better place?
First of all, and that's a great question. First of all, it is something that we have to start to do. It's not going to change overnight. It's going to be a long-range process. But we have to start teaching young people at an early age in school, make it mandatory part of the school curriculum that young people are taught conflict resolution. Teachers are taught, administrators, because we have so much conflict even with administrators. We have conflict with children in school, and teachers do not have the tools to do this with. So we have to start teach that in school, because they don't get it at home. Yolanda, what they get at home is sometimes kids leave home with their parents are fighting, their sister fighting, their brother fighting. And then we advocate violence, because if someone hits your sister, brother, you go out and you beat the other person up. That's not the solution. The solution is being able to understand and exchange positions with the other parties. And I give you 3 quick examples of what people can do if they're going to be a problem solver, if they're going to resolve disputes. Number one, in order to resolve disputes, you got to, first of all, do self-examination. Yes. You must look at yourself. You must define the kind of person you are. What are the things that set you off? What are the things that anger you? But you have to examine yourself first. And the second one is the most difficult one. The second one is being able to exchange position with the other party, no matter what. Change position with them, stand in their shoes. Given the same circumstance, the same condition, what would I have done if the same thing happened to me? The third one is even more difficult, is develop good listening skills. Because what we don't do as individuals, we don't listen. If we engage in a conversation, we end up mentally arguing with the other side and preparing to respond. And doing all of that, you miss what is being said. So those are 3 quick things that if people would just take and use those now as a methodology to resolve disputes, you would find some of those disputes resolved. Now, here's the real reason why we don't have any tools to resolve disputes, because nobody teaches conflict resolution. I don't say nobody, but very few people teach conflict resolution. They rely upon kind always lead to violence.
Wow.
All right? Now, if we want to really get rid of violence in our community, if we really want to get rid of violence in our community, we have to go to the root of the problem. And what we've been doing a lot of times, we've been skirting the problem. And if we define the wrong problem, you're going to get the wrong solution.
Yes.
But one of the major problems in our community that's causing the various killings and shooting all the time is not interpersonal relationship. It is economics.
Wow.
It is, if we would fight hard, number one thing we have to do is fight hard and fight everybody in order to remove the drugs from our community. If we remove the drugs from our community, we would solve 90% of the problem. You would see 90% less kids. You would see 90% less kids going to jail. 90% less being killed. That's what they're fighting over.
Do you really think, Dr. Brown, that that's the solution to the problem? That do society or do the government really want to resolve that? Get rid of the drugs from out of the community, get rid of these dirty guns from out of the community, get rid of the murder charge. Do you really think that Virginia, let's say like Virginia or Alabama, really, especially in the neighborhoods, do you really think they want to get rid of that?
No, they don't want to get rid of it. But this is one of the problems, one of this resolution, one of the problems. This is one. It is a multitude of things that we have to do if we're going to address this issue and address it head on. We cannot, listen, building more jails are not going to solve the problem.
Yes.
Hiring more policemen is not going to solve the problem. Passing more legislation is not going to solve the problem. As a matter of fact now, with what happened recently in Memphis, Tennessee,
yes,
that all we're talking about doing is passing legislation. And let me just put this on the table while I'm talking. If we would only enforce the legislation that's already been passed since 1870, we would be in great shape. We wouldn't have to do anything if we just enforce that. So when you pass legislation, you have to enforce it. Now, trying to pass the George Floyd Act is probably going to be passed because every time a crisis comes, they find legislation to pass just to quiet things down.
yes.
But until we go to the root of the problem and start teaching people how to resolve conflict, then we're going to have the same problem. Let me give you one illustration. Right now, they have just passed a multi-bill that was passed by the Senate and passed by the House and signed by the President. It's called the Infrastructure Bill. The Infrastructure Bill will help various communities, help some get rich, but they're going to rebuild highways, byways, bridges, roadways, plumbing, and they're going to build all these things here. And they're happy about it. And they say it was a good bill. I agree it was a good bill. But they haven't spent one dime
That's right.
on rebuilding people.
That's right. That's right.
All right? I'm just saying, during slavery, our black families was destroyed. It was easy to go and sell a kid. It was easy to sell a father away from the family. It was easy to teach the kids that pass a law that is unlawful to read, and we worry about our kids reading now. So a lot of things happened during slavery is still in our community now. So what we have to start to doing is to unfold this and unroll this and start talking. And how do we rebuild families? That's what we have to do. Because the families are destroyed. I think 72% of the kids in our community is born into single-family homes. 70% single-family homes. There's no father. The incarceration problem is rampant because that is one of the real problems that we have. Because sometimes, even from many of the young people in jail now, they're in jail because of either sale of drugs, use of drugs, or killing somebody because of drugs. All right. So this man is taken from the family, and those kids end up in the same area that they live in. Same area, single parent mother, 2 or 3 kids trying to raise the kids. And then if you look at history and look at statistics, those same kids where the father is away, it's about 75% chance that those kids are going to be incarcerated.
Absolutely.
Even some of the things that we use, we think is good, like foster parents. You know what the statistics say about foster parents?
What is it?
About 2/3 of the kids that's in foster homes now, they will end up
Oh my goodness. That is
So
too
we got
much.
a multitude of problems that we need to address, and we instead of addressing the problem, we keep skirting the problem.
Yes.
So one of the problems is this mass incarceration with all of these people that's in jail, mostly a high number of Black and Hispanic folks who are incarcerated. Yeah, that's the number one thing we have to do. And the second thing we have to do is start to encourage our people to become entrepreneurs.
Oh wow, yes.
You know, we're under the line. 70% of entrepreneurship are owned by whites. All right. Another 14% is Hispanic. Another 6% is Asians. And guess where we are? Black 2% in entrepreneurship. So we have to encourage our race of people, and we have to find funds to do it and support it, that we have to start to be entrepreneurs. That would keep people from wanting to go to jail. That would keep people from wanting to sell drugs if they can make money like everybody else in our society. But we are not encouraged. They don't teach entrepreneurship in school. They don't teach it in the community.
Absolutely.
They don't teach it in church.
Absolutely. Dr. Brown, what can we do with this, the struggle and the conflict with law enforcement and our community? It is something to me, I don't even know if it's getting worse. I don't know how it will change. It seems as though we as African American are still looking at our own being, just tied up and beat and whipped. And then it has a nerve in this situation here with Tyree Nichols, our own color, our own race, causing such a problem within the community as well. Can you address that? What can we do to resolve conflicts between law enforcement and the community?
Okay, number one is that I must put this on the table. That law enforcement itself is in the same category as most other workplaces. It's a small percentage of people who commit these crimes. It's not all policemen. I've had great experience with policemen on many occasions, but it's a small percentage. I don't care where you work at. You're going to find a few people who thrive on conflict.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So now even with the policemen, the way they are taught and the way they are trained is exactly what they do. All right?
Mm-hmm.
They themselves always think that, well, if I don't do something, then I'm not going to go home and be with my family. The policemen only knew a few things. Number one, if they acknowledge and recognize that the louder you talk, the less people listen.
Wow.
And sometimes talking loud and screaming at people is disrespectful. So people have to understand that, that there are ways that people get out of hand and so on. But this case with Nichols is just a unique kind of a case. This guy got away and ran. They could have let him go away and go because he hadn't done it. They still had his car.
Absolutely.
He didn't have to beat him. So, but what I'm saying is a culture that has to be changed.
Yeah.
They have to learn to, first of all, how to communicate with people. They have to learn to not be disrespectful with people. And they have to learn one thing, but I just share this with you. What they have to learn is that even in a traffic violation, do you know the first person that person is angry with, the first person they're angry with is themselves.
Wow.
They're angry with themselves because they know they may have violated the law.
Yeah.
So by the time the policeman comes, he comes with his hand on his gun, and I'm already angry because I ran a red light, I ran a stop sign, I know I was angry. And so that's automatic conflict. The guy says, "Oh, I didn't do anything. I just ran a what?" And the guy has his hand on his gun. All right, for these simple violations. So I'm saying there has to be ways and means that you treat people, and there has to be ways and means that you don't just automatically pull your gun on somebody who just simply violated a traffic, ran a stop sign. And guess what? We all do it. Sometimes, concentrate and not concentrate. We run red lights, we run cautious like we all do, and they fail to realize that. So we have to start to really address how the policemen are trained at these institutions. Everybody's not out to kill them. They need to understand that interpersonal skills, how to communicate with people. That you sometimes, they did this in Camden, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey had all of the works of everything. now, and you know what? When the police department culture changed, the dropout rate in the schools went down.
Mm-hmm.
The kids attending class, the crime went down, the drug went down. When they started what is called real policing, like with the humanistic approach to policing, that's what it is.
Dr. Brown, we have a few more minutes remaining. How about giving our listening audience some information, titles of your book, and information on how to contact you?
Well, I give the information twice on how to contact me. It's 516-815-8679. And I said it fast, I'm going to say it slow now. 516-815-8679. If you want to email me, it's hez38@aol.com. hez38@aol.com. Now, I have two books. The first book is that I contend that all disputes can be resolved. In the name of that book, and it has certainly it's a book that's written simply a quick read and give you some tips on how to resolve conflict. The second book that I have is called A Case for Reparation. And A Case for Reparation is simply talk about the ills of slavery, so the same thing that we briefly covered this morning. But most important, it gives you 10 recommendations on what to do. As you know, most books are written, they just talk about the problem. But I have given 10 recommendations on how to rebuild the family.
Absolutely.
It's called A Case for Reparation.
Absolutely.
I'm very proud of both books.
Absolutely. They are a great read. I have them, and I would love for you all to make sure you pick up those books. Dr. Hezekiah Brown, tell us what Black History Month means to you.
Black History Month means to me the world to me because when you live a long time, you see certain things. And I have never been so happy in my life to see what happened this past Sunday. You know, there was a lot of years where they said that black quarterbacks was not smart enough to play football. That black people were not smart enough to play football. They could not play offensive lines. And Lord, look at what happened. They have two African-American quarterbacks playing the best in the world. Okay? They had said that we were not swimmers. And we have some historic swimmers. You know what I mean? They said that now there's so many things that they have kind of blinded us in saying what we couldn't do.
Yes.
And now I understand what it is. We are so good at what we do, it takes us long to get there. But when we get there, they ain't gonna stop us now.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Fine.
Absolutely.
Ain't no stopping us.
We want to say thank you so much for being on. God bless you. Our love to the family, First Lady.
Yeah.
And we're going to have you back on. You are a blessing to us, our community, our world. And we want to say thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Be well.
God bless you. You all come over here for a little while. And we just want to give you a few announcements. Mr. E said we got 1 minute, but we want to say thank you again to our friend and our guest, Dr. Hezekiah Walker. Don't forget to pick up his books. Why did I say Hezekiah Walker? Brown, because I have been thinking about his music. Hezekiah Brown, Dr. Hezekiah Brown, and you all just look him up. He's on Facebook. You can find him, just Google him. You'll see the history of his work. Conflict resolution, my God, we need to be taught. Lord knows we do, Mr. E. We need to really, really find ways of getting some of these problems resolved. They are getting greater. And so you all come over here for a little while and just share with us and let us give you some updates. Be blessed. See you back here on Fun Friday.
I am now better than before. Through those open doors where I am now. Where I am now, I'm in a special place. I'm taking a place where I am now. For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. And for more information, give us a call at 757-714-7861. We want to thank you so much for our special guest, Mr. Hezekiah Brown. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 right here on WPCE 1400, WGPL 1350, and Peace 95.3 FM. And have a wonderful, wonderful hump day.
Wow. I tell you what, February being happy love month, yes, and we're gonna be having some special guests talking about love.
Yeah,
We're gonna have the
love
love doctor.
doctor.
We're gonna have folk that's really, pushing romance and relationships. That's gonna be fun. But we thank the Lord too for our Black History Month,
That's
because
right.
this
That's
is
right.
the time that we get to celebrate who we are, but we also teach others who we are. And that's what we need to do. We have to let people know, no, you can't identify us like that. You can't call us monkeys. You can't sit back and say we're lazy.
Yeah.
Honey, we just as talented as the next one, or even more talented. Honey, we just got it going on like that. And you need to know that. And this is what you need to teach your children. Stop calling them all kind of names. Stop calling them out of their names. We see it all on social media. You got children and you all saying all kind of stuff to them. You got to tell them who they are, where they come from, and help them to get where they're going. That's the main thing. I want to, as a matter of fact, talk about our Young Women Achieving Success program, which we tell girls that, hey, we tell young people, hey, that you can be leaders, and we help develop them. We support their families, their parents, and their, we support them as young ladies so they can grow up to be something and somebody that God has meant them to be. So, that program is open. It's free. Girls 10 to 17 years old. You all can sit back all you want to and not let your girls, especially girls that need that sisterhood and that support, and let them go by the wayside if you want to fall through the cracks. But there's a program, and you can't say that no one is providing anything. We're providing it. We meet on Wednesdays. We follow the school year. It's a free program, and we do all kind of wonderful things for these young ladies. So don't forget the Young Women Achieving Success program.
That's right. And you need to join it if you got some young girls that will help them to rise above mere survival. I want to say good morning and thank you so much. Miss Hinton, we got Miss Roberta Carter. She ought to be walking around like a proud peacock.
Oh,
and we got Miss Katrina Brown. And don't forget, we got Diane Carter and Miss Tracy Porter and Miss Sheila Robbins. We want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world.
Yes.
Miss Hinton, I want to address that elephant that we've been talking about so much around the world about conflict. When we're looking at the conflict, and Hez Brown said something that was so touching. He said the man got up and run away. Why chase him? And you got his car right there.
You got his car, and you threatening him, you calling him names. Why wouldn't he be afraid? And not only that, you should understand that in his mind, he's saying, I don't know if this is going this not going to turn out too good.
Right.
Because of the history.
That's right. And they could have went to his home and picked him up peacefully, got a little warrant and picked him up peacefully instead of raging from up to 10. They had his automobile, the driver's license, all that was right there in the car, but they decided that they want to run him down and continue to beat him. Now he's dead.
He's dead. Why is he dead? Why is that young man dead? I just still can't get over that. And we've got to come up with some solutions. There is conflict in the community with law enforcement and vice versa. And it's not just like Dr. Brown said, it's not everybody, but the culture.
That's right.
It's got cancer in it. Now, when you got a body that got cancer, it can go from here to here to here to here to here. You can still be living, walking around, but honey, you full of cancer.
That's right.
And so that's what's happening. Yeah. You're the law enforcement and you're doing some things, you're doing great things, you're protecting us, but you got cancer, honey. Y'all got to get rid of that cancer.
And that makes it so uneasy for people to stop, especially African-American men, to either stop to stop their cars. That not only, here's the kicker part, what I learned about this case, Miss Hinton, that there was a guy that they stopped 3 days before they beat this guy, and now he's suing the city of Memphis like crazy. Why? Because of that violence, that thing that taking matters into their own hands and changing the law. They could have resolved all of this. If he did wrong, give him a ticket, but don't just. And I heard somebody say this morning, don't just go on hearsay. Don't go on hearsay. Let the truth be told. Let the court system tell you why, and let the policemen tell you what was the reason for them pulling him over. Why they stopped
But
him and
Mr.
not
E,
hearsay?
why would they say the things they said to him as well? I mean, they degraded him. They dehumanized him, and then just went and just
And
beat
beat
the
him to
crap out of him. If you beat a man with batons and kick him in the head,
You aim
do
to
you
kill
really
him.
think
That's
he's
right.
going? And why is he dead? Because you think he had reckless drive? It don't make sense to us. And so you all in law enforcement, you're going to have to explain this. These men have been arrested. Some have been let go from their job. You all going to have to give an account for this ungodliness.
Especially when he's not wanted by the police. When he wasn't wanted by the police, and he did anything wrong for him to be treated like that. He didn't have no criminal charges against him. They weren't on the lookout for him. He didn't have no failure to appear. He had none of that would cause them to go and pick him up. That would cause somebody to go and pick him up and beat him just like he was nothing.
That's the truth. And also I had a thought today of the more things change, the more things remain the same.
Yeah.
Mr. E, I had a flashback of African Americans sitting there watching up a tree, as their loved one is hung. Or or wrapped around the tree getting beat. And to me, it's the same thing over and over again. Here we go with these instances, and we looking. It's like we looking up that tree. We're just looking, and like we still, how can we prevent this? How can we do something about it? What are the answers? We still looking up at that tree. And it's like as though we can't do anything about anything. And I don't know what to say. Hopefully, like Dr. Brown said, the laws, he said they'll give us a law to help soothe us down. But why can't they change and fix the situation? Why can't police departments deal with cops that are known to be extreme? Why can't you try to find other solutions? Now, I know that people are rowdy. Don't get me wrong. I know people, when you deal with them, they can be disrespectful.
That's right.
They can fight back.
That's right.
I understand all that, but I'm saying is the culture. It don't make sense for the innocent to perish as a result of people not thinking.
When you said something about the tree, I pictured it. Mm-hmm. But you know what I also pictured of when you said something about being hung and somebody being beaten. Do you know who the Caucasian man have to do that dirty work? His own kind. His own kind. The black man is hanging. It's got the loose.
And the guy had the whip.
And the guy has the whip. So
it's terrible.
They're caught. They're making well, that's the punishment. That you beating them. You beat them yourself. Instead of him beating them, he has somebody on the plantation that's a part of that. He has to beat them. It's just the same way that we're looking at what happened to the gentleman, Tyree. It's just the same thing happened. Our own kind is beating him. Why couldn't we come? Why couldn't we come to some type of a resolution? Why couldn't we say, oh, wait a minute, we got him? Nobody been to the man's house to serve a warrant. Nobody did none of those things that, to make sure it was clear and easy. Nobody did nothing. They just jumped and they jumped him. And now the result is he dead.
They could have said, look, they ran after him and caught him and say, look, young man, don't you ever run away from the police. Do you know what can happen to you as an African? See, this would be a father's love or a brother's love. Young man, don't you never run away from the police. Don't do that. We stopped you for this, and this. But you catch hold of him and you beat him to death, honey, something ain't right.
And they was up to 10 when they jumped the car. When they jumped out of the car, they was at high 10. So, hey, look, I just don't know what to say to the young folks if the police pull them over. I was thinking about my son. And what happens? What do I tell them?
Yes.
Look, sometimes I want to tell them, cut your hair down. Make sure you ain't got, that jungle look that everybody dreadlocks.
And it don't even matter, because you can be a rich black man
or
a woman, a black woman, a woman of color, or a man of color.
It's not the hairstyle.
And it's just that culture.
That's right.
That going to the extreme. Some of them are inexperienced, Mr. E. Some of them just wide open. And we definitely have to, we're going to have to keep fighting and keep fighting
That's right.
for the rights of people.
And what happened to the Rodney King law? What happened to Trayvon Martin? What happened to all the bills that were passed, to prevent this from happening? What happened to the gentleman that the police was on the neck of him? What happened to those rules and those regulations, those rights that they're not supposed to use that kind of abuse on folk anymore? What happened to
too extreme? But I tell you what, it's the month of love, but it's also Black History Month. We want you all to reflect on the past and teach your children, teach other races. We want you also to celebrate our race and our culture.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that we've done and the things that we're doing are absolutely so fabulous. We're going to come with our upcoming shows. We're going to have Black History Month information and the things that we've accomplished and done, Black History facts. We're going to really enjoy it. We're going to have some teachable moments. We're going to have some folk up here just talking about, where we have come from and how we have to stand strong in who we are and be better. We've got to work on ourselves and be better. So we celebrate Black History Month. It's February the 1st. I hope you all are enjoying your day. We'll also have on Friday the Samaritan House, and where we talk about trafficking, and ways of getting young people and women and men out of the hand of the fowler, of that person that wants to pimp. And they call it love, a so-called love. We're going to love you and you're going to love me so much that you're going to go out there and you're going to do whatever I want you to do. I'm going to pimp you. We're going to show you what love don't look like.
Miss Hinton, I was looking at the news the other day. Chicago dropped all the charges against R. Kelly.
I know
they dropped all the
charges.
Well,
you know why? Because he's going to be in there roasting for a while. So what in the world are you going to
They dropped all the
keep
charges.
putting more charges on him?
And then when I heard you say something about love, and I heard your girl say, what love got to do with it?
What love got to do with it? So we're going to have upcoming shows. Mr. E has a few upcoming shows as well. Mr. E, who else will be coming on?
Mr. Thomas Pierce would be our special guest in finances. And also a cup of coffee love will be joining us on Antony Veer.
The
Love Doctor will be our special guest, along with Bishop Keith Curry on our Wednesday segment. And will be with us for Black History. And don't forget, there's Rhonda Driver that's going to be along with us. Then Jay Baker, we're having him on our Monday night segment. So I want y'all to continue to listen to what we got going on, and what we are doing is bringing you nothing but the very best.
This Katrina Burns single, and just doing what she do to better herself. So anyway, we have a lot of great things coming on our show. You can be a special guest sponsor, intern. Don't forget, look, the ladies book, Bullying is Right Underneath Your Nose, the Royal Ladies Pie, and the music. Don't forget to follow us on social media. But you can also be a special guest sponsor, intern on FYI Morning Show or FYI After Dark. Mr. E got the T for you.
I want to let the cat out of the bag, but I think it's too early. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, Friday on FYI. We want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. If you'd like to be a special guest or sponsor or intern, pick up the telephone and give us a call at 757-714-7861. Or you can go to Everette Facebook page, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton Facebook page, FYI Facebook page, and you can also email us at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on WGPL 1350 and all your social media networks.
You all are a blessing. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your support. We'll see you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
2 up. 2 down,